hardest and the saddest week of most Americans' lives, quite frankly. This is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment, our 9/11 moment, only it's not going to be localized. It's going to be happening all over the country, and I want America to understand that. But
I would like to begin by announcing some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Why do you keep using this? A lot
Because
of
it
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah.
Paving the way for war with China. The CCP opened one of their desk drawers marked "Do Not Open" to reveal that the number of total deaths is actually 50% higher than previously reported. Expect more such revisions upwards, though likely we will never know the true number since many bodies were disposed of in mass cremations, and I would not be surprised if the real number was at least 5 times higher than Beijing's propaganda, all of which acts as accelerant in the war with China megatrend, as what the West is experiencing does not match that which China reported to the world to expect, for which there will be a reckoning with China, as is the focus of my last video based on excerpted analysis from my article made available to patrons on the 6th of April. WHO pawns in the great game. The mainstream press reporting of the Trump administration cutting funding to the World Health Organization focuses exclusively on the madness of doing so in the midst of a global pandemic. However, this completely misses the big picture, one of an accelerated trend trajectory of the US paving the way for military action against China, for which it needs ammo for the war with China dossier. Therefore, WHO is culpable and has sided with China, that at the very least gives the impression of having been subverted by the Chinese Communist Party, is a pawn in the great game being played, as both nations converge towards the focal point of the artificial islands in the South China Sea that the US will seek to dismantle, which the Wuhan virus gives plenty of ammunition towards achieving.
Beijing, the Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak. First, there is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade. So WHO doesn't recommend limiting transfer or trade and movement.
Thus, the cut in WHO funding should be perceived as being part of the checklist the US military-industrial intelligence complex is running through in preparations for war against China. As my analysis of 6th April concluded, you don't get to commit Pearl Harbor and September 11 times 10 without consequences, for only the most ruthless empire will be left standing. So the United States will demonstrate to China that they are prepared to cross every red line, including the use of tactical nuclear weapons to ensure US supremacy. Else it's game over for the United States and China will become the world's dominant ruling power. Wuhan biolab material for the war with China dossier. An old report of the Wuhan virus originating from a Chinese biolab has re-emerged after doing the rounds during January, given that the lab is situated barely half a mile away from the wet market that is deemed to be ground zero for the Wuhan virus pandemic. Now, it does not matter whether the lab is or is not the origins of the virus. What matters is that both the United States and UK governments have publicly declared that they are looking into whether this is the source of the virus or not, which is doublespeak for saying that this is good ammunition to insert into a war with China dossier, i.e. they will likely exaggerate whatever evidence they find in pursuit of the objective of exacting a price from China for the catastrophe that both nations are currently suffering, which for the United States would start with the erasure of the artificial islands in the South China Sea. So I expect this story to be much embellished over the coming weeks and months and probably grow out of all proportions, and there's a probability that it's untrue, but over time will be seen by most to be true, as to be confirmed by US intelligence agencies just as they had in the run-up to the Iraq War. So don't be under any illusion, the US at least is heading towards war with China, the extent of which I can only guess at this time being limited to the artificial islands in the South China Sea, as then the conflict could be contained without escalating into a broader nuclear exchange involving nuking of military bases and eventually cities. Expect many such announcements and actions emanating out of the United States and its allies over the coming weeks and months as the US paves the way for war with China. This video is excerpted from my in-depth analysis, the whole of which has first been made available to patrons who support my work for $3 per month. So for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, then do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work for just $3 per month. And remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel for future videos in this series.